Dawar Butt is an environmental policy analyst and joins us from Karachi. Dawar, thanks for being with us. When you look at those pictures, I mean, this flooding just seems vast. Put it into perspective for us. How much worse is what we're seeing now across the country than flooding that is, periodic because of the monsoon?
So what we're seeing right now has been dubbed sort of a repeat of the 2010 super floods, and we had a similarly large spell of monsoon rain and vast areas similar to the areas currently under flood. These are the areas that were flood also 10 years ago. So these are areas around the Indus River and also certain mountain ranges which cause this accumulation of flash floods. So what is being shown right now, most estimates say that it's not even the 20% extent because we cannot observe from satellite at this point. Cloud cover has blocked a lot of our satellite. And we have helicopters that go in, we have drone footages, but the true assessment has not been completely laid out in front of the government or by the media itself.
All right, that is very interesting. And one thing that we see in news reports that are coming out of certain areas is some government criticism. For example, in Balochistan, there was one family saying that 8 years ago, they were promised by what I assume are local authorities that a large cement wall was going to be built. They then built a house near the river and the wall was never built, and now they've lost everything. How much of that kind of situation is there, and has the government been keeping up with trying to avoid people being at risk like this?
So the wall that you mentioned, back in 2010, when we had these massive floods, the government was forced to set up an investigative commission, which released a report a year later and targeted interventions laid out for cities and certain areas. And these massive concrete flood walls were one of these interventions. Now, in certain parts of the country, we were able to set up these walls, but Balochistan is under-resourced and the government there has not been stable for quite some time. And this has certainly led to these investments not happening. We have examples where the flood wall was set up and these regions, to an extent, did get time to evacuate and the flooding was mitigated. But like Quetta, that's the report that, as it showed, these regions are still not at the forefront of our reporting. We've seen footage from big cities. We've seen footage from areas in the plains and agricultural zones which have been affected. But cities like Quetta, which is the provincial capital, still hasn't received as much attention or as much relief as you would have said is required at this point.
Yeah.
The estimate now it ranges from anywhere between $3 billion worth of losses to $10 billion, and this includes agricultural losses, livestock losses, and particularly households that have been completely wiped out.
How about for you and people there in Karachi? What has the situation been like?
So Karachi actually, in the start of this season, received a lot of rain. The records here start from 1960s because that's when our Met Department became active. Before data records were being maintained by the entire subcontinent together. And records suggest that the rain in Karachi itself was record-breaking. We had 24 inches of rain in just July. And these records are continuously been broken over the past 4 or 5 years as well. It's getting worse. Karachi right now is in a very bad situation just because of the damage caused by the rain. So it's being felt in the urban areas, and it does drag a lot of attention from at the national level, but we've seen rains in the rural zones, and the rural zones don't even have the basic safety protocols or disaster management authorities that cities have. So at this point, even though big cities are affected, I would say living in a big city in Pakistan is a privilege because it still saves you from the kind of devastation we've seen on the media or on TikTok or on Twitter. A lot of this is completely out of our imagination right now.
Yeah, very true. Dawar, that was an extremely informative report. I really appreciate it.